Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shani. Double beat. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Radha Madhava, Shri Radhe. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Madhava ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki. Haribol. Where's the book? Oh. Book is not here. Jetzt. War gerade offen, oder nicht? I will speak, ich werde in Englisch sprechen, weil es so viele englischsprachige Gäste hier sind. I will speak in English. Maybe somebody can translate into German. If you go with mommy, okay? One hug and then you go, okay? Okay, you can say one word. Okay. Hare Krishna. Bye bye, Gita. See you later. Bye bye. Bye. Aha, ich habe es am Telefon. Da kannst du das Deutsche nehmen zum Vorlesen. Okay, let's offer respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Vasudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to today's Srimad Bhagavatam class. Welcome our guests from nearby, our new neighbors. Hare Krishna everyone. Today we read from the Srimad Bhagavatam, verse 12 to 13. Verse number 13 should be on the board. Yes. Verse number 13 is also the translation from Srila Prabhupada. And the chapter, I will not go much into detail because we talked a lot about this topic already, and I think it will be discussed further. It's about when there was this big sacrifice and Daksha invited everyone and he didn't pay obeisances to Lord Shiva, and no, other way around. Shiva didn't pay obeisances to him, and Daksha got very angry and agitated, and he spoke lots of harsh words towards Lord Shiva. And I read something from the commentaries. It's very interesting what the acharyas say, is that actually he didn't spoke bad about Lord Shiva, actually he glorified him. So in each of these words he said, there's also a different, deeper meaning where he really glorified Lord Shiva. I forgot I have a book that's written all the glorifications. Maybe next time I can read it up. Yes, now we continue the story. Verse number 12. I will just read the Sanskrit and the English, and then we go on to the verse number 13. Text 12, second chapter. Kritva mriga shashvakshaya panimakatalochanaha pratyutana bivadare vachyapi akritanochitam. He has eyes like a monkey's, yet he has married my daughter, whose eyes are just like those of a deer cub. Nevertheless, he did not stand up to receive me, nor did he think it fit to welcome me with sweet words. I remember this when he's compared to like a monkey. Actually says that Shiva is free from all material desires, and his followers, he takes care of the followers who still have material desires. Because it says monkey, maybe you hear this word, the renunciation of a monkey. When you see a monkey, he looks very renounced. He lives in the trees, he has nothing to wear, he lives simple. But a monkey's life is all about sense gratification. It's all about sex and eating. You can observe this, for example, when you go to Vrindavan, then the monkeys, they're always engaged in stealing other people's food and in also sexual intercourse. Sometimes they have very funny yoga asanas. But that's the false renunciation that we show, that we are so renounced but actually we are like monkeys. We still, in our heart, have so many desires. And this is also one of the topics I want to go into it today. Okay, now we chant verse number 13 together. Lupta kriyaya suchaye manine pinasetave anicchan api adam balam shudraye voshitam shatim shudraye voshatim giram lupta kriyaya shuchaye lupta kriyaya shuchaye manine pinasetave manine pinasetave aniccan apyadam balam aniccan apyadam balam sudraye vo shatim giram shudraye vo shatim giram lupta kriyaya shuchaye manine pinasetave aniccan apyadam balam shudraye vo shatim giram. Please chant. Atashis. Lupta kriyaya, not observing rules and regulations. Ashuchaye, impure. Manine, proud. Pinasetave, having broken all rules of civility. Aniccan, not desiring. Api, although. Adam, handed over. Balam, my daughter. Shudraya, unto a Shudra. Iva, as. Ushatim, Ushatim Giram, the message of the Vedas. Man kann wieder zumachen die Tür, bitte. I had no desire to give my daughter to this person who has broken all rules of civility. Because of not observing the required rules and regulations, he is impure, but I was obliged to hand over my daughter to him, just as one teaches the messages of the Vedas to a Shudra. Purport: a Shudra is forbidden to take lessons from the Vedas because a Shudra, due to his unclean habits, is not worthy to hear such instructions. This restriction that unless one has acquired the Brahminical qualifications, one should not read the Vedic literatures, is like the restriction that a law student should not enter a law college. unless he has been graduated from all lower grades. According to the estimation of Daksha, Shiva was unclean in habits and not worthy to have the hand of his daughter Sati, who was so enlightened, beautiful, and chaste. The word used in this connection is Bina Setave, which refers to one who has broken all the regulations for good behavior, by not following the Vedic principles. In other words, according to Daksha, the entire transaction of the marriage of his daughter with Shiva was not in order. Om Ajnanatimidandasya Gananshana Shalakaya Chakshu Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sva Badantikam Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Breshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschadyade Shatarine Vanchakalpa Darupyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhyaevacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Gonna read the verse again. Lupta kriyaya shuchaye manine bina setave anichanapyadam balam Shudrayevo Shatim Giram. I had no desire to give my daughter to this person who has broken all rules of civility. Because of not observing the required rules and regulations, he is impure, but I was obliged to hand over my daughter to him, just as one teaches the message of the Vedas to a Shudra. So we can see here the mood of Daksha is not very nice and full of ignorance, because he compares Lord Shiva with a Shudra and really don't have any kind of respect towards the Lord. And Shiva is he's the greatest devotee of the Lord. Actually, yesterday I read Srila Prabhupada, he writes, even greater is Haridas Thakur, because when Lord Shiva got asked from his wife to unite with her, when the son Kartikeya was born, then he united with her. But when Haridas Thakur was visited by a prostitute, he was still continuing chanting, and he was liberating this prostitute, so she became also a devotee of the Lord. So Srila Prabhupada glorifies the devotees of the Lord, should be always glorified, and we should never compare them. This is a Shudra, or even sometimes I hear, my guru, he's like a Kshatriya, he's like very fiery, but that's offense. We shouldn't put some pure devotees on the level of our material conception of varnas and ashramas. And same situation occurs here, that Shiva is compared to a Shudra, and for us it would be nice to be called a Shudra, because it means we following the Vedic principles. But Shiva is much more advanced, much more higher than us. Nobody of us can be compared in any way to Lord Shiva. Lord Brahma is different. We can also have the same qualities like Lord Brahma, we can achieve. But Shiva, he is different. He's when Vishnu appears in this material world, he will never touch this material world, so he becomes, when he unites, when he impregnates the material world, when Mahavishnu glances over the material world, then he impregnates them with the souls, as Sadashiva is this glance, and then he becomes the Rudra to Lord Shiva. So Shiva is also compared, like when we have milk. Yesterday I made yogurt in the kitchen. For milk I made yogurt. I boil the milk. The milk, when it's boiled, we cool it down to 40 degrees. And then we add some yogurt or tamarind, something sour, to make the milk to yogurt. So the milk became yogurt, but it will be difficult to make the yogurt back to milk, no? It's not so, not possible to make milk from yogurt. And same way, Lord Shiva is also considered like yogurt. He's not different, he's also like milk, the same quality. It comes from the milk, but he became the yogurt. He can't become the milk. So many times I meet people on the street or facing me and challenging me that actually there's these three avatars, Brahma, Shiva, and Lord Vishnu, and they're all on the same platform. Or Lord Shiva is the highest. I never heard Lord Brahma is the highest, but many times you hear that no, it's actually Lord Shiva is the highest. But if you Prabhupada says, scrutinizingly study the Vedic scriptures, you always see that Lord Shiva actually glorifies the Lord, that he is a pure devotee of the Lord. Vaishnava Yatha Shambho, he is the greatest of all the devotees. So he's never say, worship me. He always gives all glories to God. Also we have, for example, Jesus in Christianity. Nowadays I meet all kinds of people, they tell me, Jesus is God. But you never hear Jesus telling about himself that he is God. He always says, no, worship the name of my Father in the heaven. So, yeah, if someone comes and glorifies himself as God, then we can understand, no, he's not God. Like even Lord Chaitanya, he was the supreme personality of Godhead, personified. And you never hear him that he says, look at me, look at my beauty, look at my opulences, I'm the Supreme Lord. I mean, there was a certain Leela, Mahaprakash Leela, where he, offenbared, revealed his identity to his pure devotees, but this was a rare occasion. But on the other hand, he was always closing his ears and running away, and for him was like blaspheme if somebody considered him as the Supreme Lord, even though he was the Supreme Lord, just to show us that we should not impose ourselves as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or follow someone who says he's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And there's many gurus nowadays outside, revealing their glory and have many followers, and they strongly believe that they are an avatar of Lord Vishnu, an avatar of Lord Krishna. Yeah, it's very simple. You just ask him, show it to me. Show me your opulence. Show me that you're Bhagavan, that you're full of knowledge, full of strength, almighty, full of beauty, the most famous, the most renounced. Show me your qualities. Reveal it to me. Will be very difficult. And in our society nowadays, like I said before, if we can be on the platform of a Shudra, that would be very nice, because if we can establish that we have Shudras in our society who are following the Vedic principles, that would be a great achievement. But nowadays we are not even on the platform of Shudras. Imagine, I mean, from the Indian background it's different. I guess you come from different families, you have more cultural background. But for us in the West, we are, practically speaking, we are not even Shudras, we are from Mlecchas background, Chandalas. Last time I heard, Chandalas actually means, like describe it like dog eaters, but also, Chandalas is dog eaters, no? But actually it comes from this when you marry a different caste, when the wife is, for example, Brahminical, Brahmana, and the husband is a Shudra. And if this marriage occurs, then it's called Chandalas. So and we are in this situation that we are actually very, very fallen. And nonetheless, should we not look now in ourselves or to other devotees and specify them like, okay, he works so nicely, he's like always with the cars, and he's like fixing the roofs, and he can do everything, he must be a Shudra. Or the other one, he's with the cows, he must be a coward, but he's a Vaishya, or he's good with finances, he's good with making money and selling things. He's definitely a Vaishya. Or Kshatriya, he's like so strong and tall, he's such a big body, he must be a Kshatriya. Or he's so learned, wow, he's such a scholar, he must be a Brahmana. But that's most of the time I see it's not always true. And also we shouldn't actually put the Vaishnava in categories, thank you, in this kind of categories, especially if the Vaishnavas are very pure and advanced. Who are we to tell what ashrama and what vana they have? And we have all actually now one vana, we have Krishna vana. Yeah, we followers of Lord Chaitanya, Krishna vanam, Tvisha Krishnam, Sangopam Gasta Pashadam, Yakyai Sankirtana Prayai, Hichanti Hi Sumeda Shaha. Means in this age of Kali, Krishna appears as, he's not golden, he's blackish, in a blackish complexion. And all those who still have some intelligence left, they are joining this glory, this wonderful Sankirtan movement. And also Krishna, he appears with all his companions, with all his devotees, and with all his weapons. It is said. Very important verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. And we are Krishna vana. We are not. And still is good at some point when you come in contact with Krishna consciousness, you get purified, and you see your nature. You see which ashram you should take shelter. Ashaya means to take shelter. Be a brahmachari, be a monk, live an austere life, or vanaprastha or sannyasi, or you get a license for some sense gratification. You enter the grihastha ashram in accordance with the Vedic rules and regulations, following strictly, actually. Otherwise, you can't call yourself a grihastha. If it's only based on sense gratification, you are kriha medi. And this is very glorious if we are taking shelter of such an ashram. And then we see our vanas, our inclinations. And these vanas we have everywhere in the material world. It's natural that some people are inclined to become teachers. They love to teach. They love to give knowledge to others. It's very Brahminical. Then when you have a doctor, for example, you can think, okay, he might be a Shudra because he serves the others. But on the other hand, my Guru Maharaj said, no, actually a doctor, to study so long to become a doctor, it's very Brahminical. But nowadays the occupation of a doctor is actually the work of a Shudra. But in previous times, an Ayurvedic doctor, for example, he is a real Brahmana, should be a real Brahmana, because he prevents you to become ill. It's not, nowadays we try to treat the illness afterwards, but actually a real doctor, a real Brahmana, he gives you the knowledge that you can be healthy for yourself. Also in Chinese medicine, in China, if you get sick, you don't need to pay the doctor. You only pay the doctor when you're healthy. Then you go to checkups and he check you and he gives you the right diet and medicines that you stay healthy. And if you get sick, then he failed his job, then he will not get paid. Yeah. And then we have people naturally, they just good with business. They can make money very easily. You can see some tendencies as there, or Kshatriyas, they like to be in charge, they like to take over, they like to lead, they like to protect people. They go out the first one. If there's a fire, they will be the first one to save everyone. So we can see already in everyone is some inclination is there, and all of us, when we get more purified in the process of karma yoga and bhakti yoga, we will see also where we belong and which way we can, how we live, that we can use our talents in Krishna's service. Because it makes no sense if you are a Brahmana and you like to teach and give knowledge and live very Brahminical and you're inclined to Puchari Seva, to Brahminical Sevas in the temple, or maybe you do astrology, whatever it is, and then you work and, I don't know, go somewhere and bake breads and sell breads in some bakery, or you become a car mechanic and work on cars the whole day, then you will not be satisfied. You will be lacking something. You get frustrated and discouraged because you're not following your vana. And then so many problems will come from this right occupation. But still, sometimes we need to adjust to the material world, and we have to do things we don't like to earn our livelihood, and that's okay. But we should come to a point where we transcend it, where we really see what is right for us, what is the right occupation to serve the Lord. And to serve the Lord, we have to be a pure, authentic. We have to be ourselves. We can't, for a long period of time, you can't fake it. It's not possible. You will get frustrated, discouraged, and you will leave. Now you have to find what is your nature. You have to find out how to serve the Lord. And this is not always easy. In life of a devotee, it's not like we become devotees now and Krishna takes care of everything. He takes care of everything, but sometimes in a way we might not like. Sometimes in a way that we face the greatest obstacles, the greatest challenges. All of us, we know that in the beginning stage, everything is very ecstatic, very blissful. You see everyone is pure devotees. You don't commit any offense. Everything is pure, everything is nice, everything is easy. You have this beginner bliss, and then after some time, you live in a temple or you practice Krishna consciousness very honest and follow the principles, no matter in the temple or outside the temple. But you get purified, and you get purified, and you get purified. And you see, wow, like I remember one of our Bhakta leaders in these times, 10 years ago, he told me, Krishna will show you the mirror. He will show you, especially when you go on book distribution, you get purified 100 times more, and Krishna will show you the mirror. And you will see anger, greed, lust, envy, pride, illusion, madness, all these enemies. Krishna will face it, show you. And I was thinking I don't know. I'm not proud anymore. I don't know. I'm very humble actually. And lust and envy, greed, it's not there. Illusion, maybe a little bit illusion because I don't know everything yet, but I'm almost there. So maybe some illusion. Madness, maybe in kirtan, but that's it. So we think about ourselves like that. But then Krishna really shows you, oh, you're really not proud? Wow, that's something. Then Krishna, he will get everything out of us, all this impurities. And it's not only us, it's even with the pure devotees. It's not like they fall for the heaven and then they are pure devotees. I mean, sometimes they come really from the spiritual world, but even then, they have so many challenges. Like when we look, for example, the glorious life of Srila Prabhupada. When he came to this world, it was not always easy for him. His marriage, then he lost all his business, and he took sannyas. Then he was very old, and he decided to come to the West. Imagine you send your grandfather now in the age of 70 to India to preach Christianity or whatever, I don't know. But imagine this contrast, to send someone to India for the first time of his life, to different country, different environment, different temperature, the weather, the seasons, everything is, the food, everything is different. Same way Srila Prabhupada, he came to the West, and it was completely upside down, like from heaven to hell, kind of. And he came with almost nothing. He had a few coins and some potatoes and his books. I mean, it's not nothing. He had Krishna with him. On the ship, on the Chaladuta, he had 2 heart attacks. At the age of 70, you can die from it very easily. Then he came here, and there were so many challenges. The first year, many times he went back to the harbor, and he thought about going back to India. But then he remembered the instructions of his spiritual master that he should preach in the English language, and he is now in America, so he stayed. And then he heard his stories with this junkie who was on LSD, who went after Prabhupada, I think with a knife or something. And all these difficulties he underwent, no support from his godbrothers. He asked for some simple music instruments. He asked for some support to come to the preach in the West, to fulfill the desire of Bhaktisiddhanta. But nobody came. No help. So many difficulties. And Srila Prabhupada, he started this whole movement out of nowhere. Tomlinson Square Park under a tree, chanting the holy names of the Lord. But what about us? We have everything. Prabhupada gave us everything. We have a temple. We have deities all around the world. We have devotees. I don't know, many years ago here there's 75,000 initiated devotees. Now probably we are 100,000, don't know the number. But then we have also congregational members, life members, and people who know about Krishna consciousness, so it's very big actually. And yeah, we have prasadam. In every temple you go, you get prasadam. Only if the cook cooks too less, then you don't get prasadam. But it should be, Prabhupada wanted always to be prasadam. This is always prasadam. Always enough prasadam for guests. We have instruments, we have harmoniums, we have midangas, we have kartals, we have dhotis, we have everything we need. Prabhupada gave us everything. We have books, most important. We have this knowledge. We can hear Krishna Kada. Srinvada Svagata Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Vedantyasto Bhadrani Vidonoti Soritsadam. So the Supreme, when we hear very openly the message of the Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna is the super soul. He will purify our heart. And then he will sit in our heart. And we just have the desire to listen to Srimad Bhagavatam. So it's so important to hear from the scriptures. And yeah, Srila Prabhupada gave us everything. So many challenges. Or the Pandavas, so many challenges. Living in the exile, so many attacks on their lives. Fighting the battle of Kurukshetra. Ashwadam kills all their sons. Draupadi gets enrobed. Say enrobed? In the assembling of the Kuru dynasty. They had to fight against the grandsire Bhishma Dev, against their teacher Dronacharya, and so many obstacles they faced in their life. Or my Guru Maharaj just recently passed away. He got shot in the service of Krishna from the Indian mafia. Devotees, so many difficulties. It's not like we join and everything will be peaceful and flower power, kichai. No. We're not hippies smoking weed and laughing the whole day. No, we have to really get pure in our heart. We have to overcome our material desires. And that's so difficult. Like just recently one brahmachari, he complained, this Mataji, I'm getting so distracted and this and that, and then don't look at her. It's not like, because you look at her, of course you get distracted. Don't contemplate about her. Don't always think about, how is the verse? Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa. By contemplating about the sense objects, Sangas Te Shu Pachayate. We get attached to them. So first we contemplate. Every one of us experience this. We have some desire. We have some object. For example, I want to buy this phone. And I have no money, but I see the phone, somebody has this phone. I want to have this phone. So I think about this phone, I contemplate about this phone. I get very attached, I want to have this phone. I need this phone in my life. I can make better videos, I can be all the time on WhatsApp and on Facebook and enjoy my life. I need this phone. And then Sangat Sanchayate Kama Krodo Pichayate. And then when this attachment is there, then we get the desire to have it. Then lust develops. And from lust, anger rises. If we can't get it, then we get frustrated, we get angry, we experience this sometimes. Or we see a small child, for example, when my daughter doesn't get what she wants, then she gets very angry. Then hell breaks out in my house. We can see it all the time. And then from anger, when we get angry, illusion comes. Krodha, Bhaviti, Samoha. Samohat, long time. Samohat, Smriti, Vipramaha. Smriti, Pramsat, Nasho, Buddhi, Buddhi Nasho, yes, and then Buddhi Nashat, Pranashyati. So from this anger, we will fall into illusion, completely delusion. And from this delusion, the memory will get bewildered. So we will forget actually, like, okay, maybe our phone is not so sinful now. Let's take, for example, a cigarette. Like, some of us were smoker before. We see someone smoking, we want to smoke, we think about it, we get the desire, we get attached, then we don't do it, we get frustrated, then we come into illusion, we completely forget actually smoking is not good. We lose all our memory, we completely forget actually, you just think about this one desire, you cultivate it, and for days you strive to smoke the cigarette. And then at one point your intelligence gets lost. You lose your intelligence, your discrimination. You can't decide anymore what is right and what is wrong. Even though you took the vows of following the 4 principles, but in this moment you're so bewildered you forget. And you just act according to your desire. You're a slave of your senses. And then, pranashyati, you fall again into the pool of material existence, the pool of material suffering. And this cycle, remember always in German we say Teufelskreis, a devil's circle. You can't come out of it. It's always, and this is our life. It's very nice, Bhagavad Gita. It exactly says the process of getting attached to something and acting out of lust, out of material desires. And then the next verse is Raga Dvesha Vimuktas tu. Vishayant Indriyas Charan. So that attachment and aversion, we should give up the attachment and aversion to something. Like the phone can be attached, but I can say no, the phone is like completely Maya, or a woman, you're completely attached, or there's no woman or Maya, I don't want to talk to them. No, but you should overcome it, and you should engage your senses. Control your senses by the regulative principles of freedom. Atma Vaishya Videyatma Prasadam Adigachati. And then you will obtain the mercy, the prasadam of the Lord. When we engage ourselves in the regulative principles of freedom. And what are the regulative principles of freedom? We're following, hopefully, all of us. The 4 principles Srila Prabhupada gave us. Because this is what, uplift us actually from the platform of mlechas, chandalas, shudras, to the platform of brahmanas. It's a Brahminical life. To don't eat meat, no fish, no egg, no illicit sex, no intoxication, no gambling. It's a very high standard. In Vedic times, for example, for Kshatriyas, they were allowed to gamble. Sometimes, on some occasions, they had meat, they had many wives. Maybe it was no illicit sex, but it says if some woman took shelter, they had to fulfill their desires. Intoxication, the whole Yadu dynasty got killed, got destroyed because they were drinking rice wine. And then there was a big fight. Of course, it was a curse, but so we can see in the Kshatriya class was these principles not so common. And recently also I read when you're on the platform of a Shudra, automatically you get purified, because if you always enjoy the same, you chew the same again and again, at one point it gets bored. Like everything, like even if you get this smartphone, I got this 2 years ago, I was so happy I can record nice videos. And after 1 week it was boring, like, I don't need it anymore. Now I will not buy it again, The same is all with the material world, all enjoyments, it will get boring after some time. I mean, sometimes we don't learn the lesson and we do it again and again and again. But at one point we get the lesson, we understand, okay, it's not worth it, and we will advance. Same in the Grihastha ashram. I can tell, there's no brahmacharis here, but sexual life is not that great. It gets very boring very easily. But it's all about sex life, sex pleasure, pleasure to the genitals. Whole world is based on this: intoxication, sex, meat eating. So to overcome this, it's very difficult, especially in the age of Kali. My Guru Maharaj recently, he left his body and he gave a nice last instruction 12 days before he left his body. And the main point he made, one of the main points, was that he wants his disciples to follow strictly the 4 regulative principles. Because this is the only way in the age of Kali to uplift your mind, to uplift your consciousness, to be protected from a fall down, and of course to chant the holy names of the Lord. Because Kali is so strong in Kali Yuga. He's everywhere in all these places, slaughterhouses, bordels, how is it, bordelle? Bordels? Huh? Bordel. Bordels. He's where there's wine, alcohol, drugs. It's so common nowadays. When we were young in my school, everyone was smoking, everyone was drinking with 12, 13 years. Now when I go on book distribution, I see also these young children, everyone is smoking. It's like normal to smoke in this age or take drugs with 13, 14. Yeah. The life didn't even started. The brain is not fully functioning. The lungs are not completely developed. And they're already destroying everything. Yeah. Meat eating. Yesterday was on Sankirtan. It was very, very painful, very difficult. Was very enthusiastic, but then very energetically, very training day. But then I saw two people. I took lunch and I ate some nice bread, prasadam, Suchitra Mataji made. And then next to me, two people came and he ate a leberkas semmel. It's like some meat and semmel. And the way they ate, and I was like, I felt so sorry at this moment. Yeah. And then I was realizing I'm not here for distributing books, actually. I'm here to be kind to people, to somehow to connect them with Krishna. It's not just about collecting some Lakshmi, giving out some books, getting some scores, being on the list, place number 100, because I did some less books. But anyways, but then at this moment, like I realized, actually I'm here to show my heart, show my compassion somehow. I don't have any compassion, unfortunately, but at this moment I just saw them eating this leberkas semmel. And then I looked all around and I see everywhere I saw all of a sudden, everyone is just there to enjoy their senses, to following the dictations of Kali. And in the story of Nala and Damayanti in the Mahabharata, it's also Yudhishthira Maharaj, he complained about the suffering. They were already in the exile with lots of brahmanas followed them, and he complained. And I can't remember Vishamrita or Vaishapayana, the sage Vaishapayana. He heard the complaint of Yudhishthira Maharaj and he said, "What do you complain? It's nothing compared to the story of Nala and Damayanti. He really suffered." And I think I just recently talked about it, so I will not tell the whole story now. But in shortcut, Nala, he married a queen, Damayanti, and the demigods also wanted to marry the same Damayanti. So, but Damayanti already promised herself, she was very chaste and truthful to her Dharma, and he promised already herself to Nala. So she rejected the demigods, actually. And the demigods were then very pleased with her because she followed Dharma so nicely. And so they gave her all kinds of blessings. But then the demigods, they went back to the heavenly planets, and then Kali and Dwapara. Dwapara is also the yuga before, it's also personalities. There are two personalities. And that's written, they're demigods, they're not demons. You might think Kali is a demon, but actually he's a demigod. He's fulfilling, his service is to rule the Kali Yuga, to punish us souls, to purify us. So Kali and Dwapara, they both came, and then they saw Lord Indra and Yamaraj, and the other two demigods, I think Agni and Varuna was with them. And then Kali asked, who won Damayanti? Who is the lucky one who got the most beautiful queen in the whole Bharat? And then Indra said, no, Nala got it. And Kali said, what do you mean Nala? Nala is just a human. No, he's very truthful, he following Dharma, he's a very sattvic person, he's a great king, and he following religious principles, so we gave him all our blessings. And Kali said, no, I will destroy this Nala. He can't overrule the demigods. And then Lord Indra said, no, it's okay, I gave the blessings, Kali used it back. But Kali, he was so angry, he said, no, I can't, I have to destroy this Nala. And then Kali came to Nala, and he tried to, because Kali can possess you. When you don't follow these principles, when you intoxicate yourself, for example, then Kali comes into your consciousness. And in this was not Kali Yuga, it was Dwapara Yuga. So Kali was not the ruler of this Yuga, but he tried to enter into Nala. But in this time, the people were very righteous. It was very difficult for Kali to possess them. So he found, for 1 year or something, or for many years, I can't remember exactly, but for a long time he was after Nala. He tried to influence Nala to possess him, but he couldn't find anything. Nala was perfect. He was the perfect king. So he couldn't find anything. But one time Nala went to pass urine and he forgot to wash his feet. And then Kali, yeah, now is my time. Imagine it. Like we don't wash our feet when we go toilet. We don't always even wash our mouth if we don't know. Like what to say from normal people who don't live according to the Vedic principles or live in the temple. Like Prabhu last time came and so nice he asked, can I wear my socks when I enter the temple? And I really appreciate it because nobody, like in the Western culture, nobody would ask, can I wear my socks in the temple? But you know, it's actually, you should take it off, wash your feet. Of course, in this temple, we don't have this rule, but this is like according to being pure, you always be clean. If you enter a holy place, you have clean clothes, you wash your hands, you wash your mouth, you wash your feet. When you take prasadam, you be clean, you also do the same. We don't wash our feet because we wear socks. But in India, many temples, you enter, first you wash your feet before you enter the temple. Or before in Brahmachari ashram in Mayapur, you also have to wash your feet and then you're allowed to enter the Brahmachari hall. Otherwise you don't get prasadam. Not so strict anymore, you don't look, but usually everyone knows you wash your feet because you walk barefoot. And then Kali, he could enter. So always wash your feet. Yeah. And Kali, he possessed Nala and he bewildered him so much that he convinced him to, because his brother wanted to also rule the kingdom. So Kali convinced Nala to play dice. Because Yudhishthira Maharaj also lost the kingdom when he played dices. So he played dice with his, dice, not check, I was thinking checkmate. This was another story. He played dices and Dwapara, he entered these dices. So Kali possessed Nala and the dices were also Dwapara personality went into the dices. So Nala was obviously the loser in the game. And his brother, he won the whole kingdom. And he lost the kingdom. He had nothing to wear anymore. He just had some ropes. And then he went into the forest and everything was taken. Even his wife left him. And long story short, at the end was a happy end. Somehow he got back. He also became a different form. But his wife was so chaste and she wanted to have him back. And at the end, she got him back and everything. They were happily after. Happily after. Ever after. But the story behind what is actually so deep for us to understand, that Kali has such an strong influence on our mind. And especially nowadays, we had the season, just recently we had COVID, for example, and you could see how people are fighting, like vaccination, no vaccination, mask, no mask, social distancing, no social distancing. People are really fighting about it, even amongst devotees. Oh my God, this one, and he said this, and he did this, and there were so many arguments and fights. When you watched on Facebook, you got sick from it, just looking devotees fighting with each other. But this is only because of the influence of Kali. Because Kali, like Prabhupada said, Kali, he can destroy our movement from outside. It's only possible from inside. If we fall down, if we preach, if we understand the philosophy wrong, if we give it wrong to others. But mostly, if devotees fight with each other, if we create offenses, if we don't look after each other, if we don't face each other with compassion and love and kindness. And Kali, he just looks for this moment. Like we have religion, we have so many religion, we have black and white. I lived in South Africa for a time. It was very, like you could see this influence of being black-bodied, white-bodied, or Indian-bodied. Was a very major role there. And we have the pure society, we have the rich class. Everything is divided. This is the influence of Kali. Divide and rule. The age of quarrel and hypocrisy. But it's not all so dark. It's not all so bad. There is hope for us. And my Guru Maharaj, he makes this point that Kali, he is completely black. The dark age. But it's only so dark that Lord Chaitanya can shine even more. He's the golden avatar. And because of this dark background, the stage is made for the influence and for the glories of Lord Chaitanya. So we are not in Kali Yuga, we are actually in Chaitanya Yuga. Because now in Kali Yuga, nowadays we have so many yoga, influence of yoga, meditation, Even in the dictionary you find the words of reincarnation, about karma, people becoming vegetarian, vegan, all kinds of things. In South Africa, there's lots of temples. There's a big Hindu community, lots of temple of Shiva and Ganesh, and lots of Westerners going there, worshipping the demigods. It's so common nowadays, all these movements, all these spiritual practices. This is not a sign of Kali Yuga. It's a sign of the influence of Lord Chaitanya. And the books are widely spread. And we don't see the fruits maybe right now. But the books, they're based. I remember the first Sangedan seminar, Gormahani said, the books, they're like time bombs. And at one point, they will explode and will do kirtan in your house. Yeah. And even if you don't make it in this lifetime, you read the book, you read one line, you come in touch with the devotee, you come in touch with Prabhupada. You take birth again, you have a better opportunity to serve the Lord. There's no loss. So, we don't know what will expect us the next 10, 20, 30 years. Many devotees who leave the body now, maybe some have to come back, didn't practice strictly or didn't become pure devotees, or Srila Prabhupada wants them to come back, we don't know. So now is the time. All these senior devotees, next 10 years, probably they will be already out of their bodies and hopefully back with Krishna. But we don't know. Maybe many of them will come back to guide us. And imagine you practice a whole life Krishna consciousness. And just yesterday I read, the Guru Maharaj said, we are so happy, we are so proud that we made it to devotees. But think about it. Rupa Goswami says that usually you just don't start your devotional life. It's like not possible. You just join and become devotee and chant and be fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness. It's usually always from previous lives already you started this process. So that means in last life we didn't make it. We didn't make it. We had still some attachment, still some raga, or even aversion in this material world. We were not free. And so we should not be proud, okay, I'm devotee now because I was devotee in previous life. But we should use this opportunity, this great opportunity, this gift of Srila Prabhupada, to really use each moment, to use each week, each month, each day, to make it successful, to make something out of a bad bargain. It's a place of suffering. Happiness means removal of pain. You feel cold, you turn on the heating. You put on some nice clothes. You remove the cold. Removal of pain. You're hungry, you eat. So our happiness mostly is derived from removal of pain. But real happiness, real pleasure, we will not get in this material world. Real happiness, everlasting happiness from the soul, Ananda, we only get in the service of the Lord. We only get when we chant the holy names of the Lord. And this is the most important, that we follow these principles. But this is not enough. This will keep you on a material platform. It will uplift you on the mode of Sattva Guna. It will help you to understand Vedic principles. But it will not give you the taste the soul is hankering for. We will restrain ourselves from the sense objects, from the sense enjoyment. Vishaya vini vatante niraha rasya dehinaha raso vracham raso pyasa param drishtva nivatante. Param drishtva nivatante. That means to have a higher taste. We can only give up our sense gratification, our desire for lording over, for ruling this material world, for enjoying here. We can only overcome if we have a higher taste. And this higher taste we only get when we serve the devotees, when we chant the holy name, when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam, when we really get purified, not on a material level, when all our coverings get removed, when our heart is opening, when we really understand Krishna is there all the time in my heart. Krishna is there in each moment of my life. He's always guiding me. He always tells me exactly what to do. He takes care of me. He protects me. He's my ever well-wisher. He's always there. Man is not perfect. Woman is not perfect. Man and woman relationship will never be perfect. But if you add Krishna, it will be perfect. If you have here the man and you have here the woman, and Krishna is on the top, if you're far away from Krishna, then there will be also a distance between the relationship. But if you go closer, if you bring Krishna in the center, then man and woman will be also happy, peaceful, and successful. So that we have to add. Always add Krishna in whatever you do. And the easiest way is, Mahaprabhu said, to get free from the influence of Maya, of the modes of material nature, is to chant the holy name constantly, and whoever you meet, you instruct them, you give them some contact with Krishna consciousness. So, thank you for your kind attention. Maybe there are some questions or, not feedback, reflections. Please speak now. Yes, Martina, Mataji. Yes. Yeah, actually, she said that a brahmana can perform all the other activities of the varnas, and yeah, it's. I mean, we hear from a Vaishnava, he can do everything because he's not in these categories of varna and ashrama. He's actually above. But brahmana, he can, if needed, he can also perform other duties. Like we have Dronacharya, for example, he was also a brahmana, but he was the teacher of the Pandavas. He was of the Kuru dynasty. He was also performing the duty of a kshatriya. Yeah, we have, I don't know who was a Vaishya or Shudra, can't say right now, but yeah. But I hear that brahmana shouldn't marry a Shudrani, for example. It's too far, it's too much distance. He could, but he should only try to marry the next class, kshatriya, for example. That would be okay. Yeah. Yeah?
You mentioned that sometimes Krishna shows a mirror to the devotee, and then in that mirror we see the impurities of our heart. So I'm curious, because you lived here for how many years?
10 almost.
10 years. So Krishna or the Simha might have shown to you already a mirror. So how you deal with it when you see, and how you connect it or take shelter for the Simha in that situation?
Yeah, it's a very personal question. I try to answer it. Yeah, I mean, it started right in the beginning. I remember after 2-3 months, and then the impurities came, desires, lust, samskaras, impressions from the past, and came up in the mind. And yeah, I remember one time I had a not so good time, and my temple president, he told me, "No, I can see you too much influence from the modes, from ignorance, and you need some break in the temple." And I told him, "No, I don't. I want to go out. I want to go on Sankirtan." He said, "1 week you stay." I said, "No, I don't want." He said, "Now you stay 2 weeks." He said, "For 2 weeks you stay in the temple." And I couldn't appreciate. I was really against this advice. I just want to go out on book distribution, and it's when you travel all the time and you're always in contact with materialistic people who are full of mode of passion and ignorance, then you associate with them if you're not strong enough. Like you see, and like we talked about in the verse, that you get, you contemplate, you get attached, and so on, and then you lose your intelligence. You also want to enjoy again. So it's sometimes good, the advice to come here and to serve. And I was put in the kitchen for 2 weeks to associate with the mode of goodness. So I get purified again, and I could feel it after a few days. I had a regulated service, regulated activity, and the modes changed, and I was more in sattva guna. I could wake up easily. My mind was free. I had no desires of anything. I felt like just to be in the right position. But this was for me also not a material platform, but it was kind of out of seva, regulated seva, I get purified. But then another time I came, and I was also a little bit devastated from everything, and had some difficulties, some obstacles. And I was in the temple room, and then one devotee came, and she, it was a she, and saw me that I'm facing some difficulties and everything is okay. I said, yeah, I don't know. She said, you know what, I'm going out now and you be alone with the Lord and you can just pray to Lord Nishingadev. You know, he will hear. He just waits for your prayer. He knows everything, but he just waits for the moment that you come here and that you offer your heart and offer your prayers and tell him what is wrong. And then nobody was here. And then I start speaking softly to Lord Nishingadev. And yeah, I could feel immediately the change of heart. All this pressure was gone, and it's like chanting Nishinga Kavacha, but it was really like you mean it, you know, not just a prayer you learn by heart and you recite it every day. It was really in a state of helplessness. You approach the Lord and ask Him for shelter and for guidance. Yeah. And another time, I remember I had a really good time, and I was afraid that I knew when it's the best time in Krishna consciousness, then always a few days later, boom, it goes down. Because you become proud or you show off your happiness. And I met Satyananda Maharaj in Ratha Yatra in Cologne, and he asked me how are you, Advaita Simha, how are you doing, and how's your spiritual life, he asked. I was like, okay, then I tell him now, actually I have the best time in my life since 1 week. I'm going to India tomorrow, and I got my visa in the last moment. I could see Krishna arranged everything, and I can see the magic is happening, and I'm so happy, and books going out, and we could dance now in the Ratha Yatra, and I don't know, it's like, I feel like now, you know, you become a pure devotee in one lifetime. And he said, yes, I know. And then I said, but I'm so afraid now that I will lose it again. Like, what can I do to keep on this platform? Because I know my anatas come back, Maya comes back, illusion comes back. And what can I do? And then he said, yes, it's a very good question. And then he said, the answer to this is, like, you chant every day your rounds, you read every day Srimad Bhagavatam, you associate with devotees, you offer your food to the Lord, and now you pray every day to the Lord. That's what Srila Prabhupada did. That's why when he was asked, how is it that you don't fall in Maya? And he said, because I'm praying every day. And then he said, pray every day to the Lord. And I remember there was a time with one devotee, Jagadvasu, we always talked about this. I mentioned this a few years ago in a lecture sometimes, and then I always ask him to remember me to pray to the Lord, and I remembered him. So every day we try, when we see each other, I ask him, did you pray to the Lord today? Oh, yes, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, and we live here in the temple, or maybe guests are here now, and for a few days we see the Lord every day, and we just go in the kirtan, but we never actually, or I don't know, for me, I live here since years, and rarely I come every day and really pray and tell Lord Nishingadev what is in my heart, and because I exactly know my impurities and what's going on in myself. But to share it with him and to pray and to ask him for guidance and help. I think this is the most important. And then, of course, the seva you have, you get purified. But you can also be completely Maya and do your seva and go even more in this rabbit hole of illusion. But I think if you make this conscious endeavor to really pray and ask Nishingadev, give Bankrotterklärung, how you say, like you have no money left on the card, you completely finished, they want to get everything from you and you don't know what to do, you know. Then you go to Lord Nishingadev, I have nothing left, please help me, I need your shelter. And I promise you, he reciprocates. Like so many times, every time. This harmonium here, I was in India and I was 30 kgs overweight. Can you imagine? And they want to take away the harmonium. They said, you can't take it, it's impossible. So they wanted me to pay, I don't know, 20,000 rupees or something. Like so much money I don't have, you know, I had nothing left just for the train ticket to come back to the temple. And I begged them, please help me. And then they said, no, we can't help you. And then I start praying to Lord Nishingadev. Ukravi Ramaha Vishnum Chalantam Samadomukam. And I was singing Namaste Narasingha. Yeah. And then the boss came from the company in Calcutta. And then he argued with me. And then I said, please, look, I'm a monk, I'm a brahmachari, I have nothing. My temple authorities, they will kick me out. They told me if I don't bring this harmonium, it was so expensive, they will kick me out. I will have no place to stay. Please allow me to go with the harmonium. And then this lady said, yeah, let him go. And then the boss said, okay, let him go. Okay, you can go. But you can't check it in because it's too heavy. You have to put it, you have to check it in. You can't put it as hand luggage. So I had to check it in. And then I prayed the whole time that it comes out full because it was not packed properly. And it came out. And since 2014, when I was in India, 14 or 15, we have this harmonium in the temple and it still survived. And I knew it was because of the mercy of Lord Nishingadev. Otherwise, it would have not been possible to get this harmonium here. But because of the prayer, when you pray, it's possible. Everything is possible. The Lord, He helps the devotees. Now I just want to add one small thing, then we end. Now I have to look for a car and doing my license and looking for a flat outside. And I got so caught up in this searching for material arrangements. And somebody advised me recently, said, that's all good, and usually she would advise, get your material life situated. But it's all not, it has no meaning, it's all material. It's the material world. What is really important in the moment now is to chant the Lord's names, to have a good sadhana, to have association with devotees, to work on your spiritual life. And then everything will fall into place. Krishna will take care of you. Of course, you have to make some endeavor. You have to do. It's not enough to just pray all the time. You can't just pray, please let me distribute 100 books today, and then you don't go out. The books will not get distributed. But you combine your prayers with your effort. But always depend on the mercy. And first, always Krishna. Krishna first, and then the rest of your life. That way, wake up early in the morning, chant as much as possible, associate as much as possible with the devotees, with the holy name. And then, Prabhupada says, your life will be sublime. Okay, Hare Krishna, thank you for your kind attention. Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki chai. Srila Prabhupada ki chai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki chai. Prasadam ki chai. Vorsichtig hinstellen. Online are still speaking. So people who watch online